States of Innocence is a new opera, and it's by me, the composer, and Peter Cant, who is the librettist, and it's premiering at the Brighton Festival in the Corn Exchange on the 19th of May, Sunday the 19th of May. It's about the 17th century poet John Milton creating his epic poem Paradise Lost on the myth of the fall.
I think it's a really exciting challenge for the present moment as well. I think there's lots of ideas and concerns in the poem. It's written in a kind of revolutionary moment of political change. There's a lot around gender in particular in there that I think is really fascinating to encounter.
A series of scenes beginning with Milton dreaming, Milton writing, Milton dictating, and then, to use Pete's brilliant phrase, then it gets trippy through hopefully the combination of the words and the music and the sense of a drama unfolding through beautiful singing by an amazing cast of professional singers.
There's a strong relationship coming through both the libretto and music and the historical context around sort of metaphorical relationships to blindness and textuality. And then this flows through into this kind of multiplicity of worlds we're hoping to create, where, you know, it's both Milton in his kitchen. It's also Paradise Lost. And it's a paradise that's lost across a number of different time and temporal locations, but that are all really overlapping with each other and, you know, kind of exploring what that means.
And I was just looking at the bit where Eve eats the apple, and there's so much description of her really gorging on the apple. And it is so evocative of the senses. So that sounds like a really great description of that. And particularly the fact that Milton was also blind whilst writing, I think raises all sorts of questions about artistic expression, about creation, about a multiplicity of voices in a text.
This is also still very much work in progress, but one key thing that Ian's mentioned, you've just picked up on there as well, is there being a kind of reference to Milton's blindness in kind of inverse ways, and a sense of a kind of expanded bandwidth of perception. That sort of seems to give him and other participants in the way this is told. So we're sort of thinking about the classic opera tension between sound and visuals as well. So you know, we've been thinking about what would there be a kind of visual equivalent of Foley in some way.
Us putting Milton on stage as part of this version of Paradise Lost is actually very faithful to the poem, because Milton is a voice throughout Paradise Lost. He's a character in the poem. And he's created a version of himself on the page who has nightly visions and is visited by his muse, and the muse changes depending on which part of the poem he's coming up with. Milton's probably got lots of different angles on one theme. He thinks this and he thinks that. And the poem is full of that beautiful multiplicity. And I really like the muscularity of Milton, but also his sensuality, and what Ed's done with the music sort of is really bringing that to the fore, I think, in the score.
In terms of the music, I've taken the chance to obviously work in my own language, but also to mix in songs and ensemble music and choruses and change ringing of bells and some techniques of 17th century music, including opera and instrumental music, and also a folk song about Oliver Cromwell that Peter spotted during his research, and we found the tune for, so that's made its way into the piece. It has this kind of melancholy but ultimately not pessimistic sense at the end. You know, there's the possibility for a future, I suppose, even though they've chosen mortality in order to stay together.